Up next is Danette. So Danette, if you want to go ahead and come off mute and take it away.
Hi guys. Hi guys. I'm just praying my two dogs are going to be quiet while I present. Good afternoon. I teach English at Enox, and I had the good fortune of having a really strong student teacher last semester. So some of this is actually from her, some of it's from my husband Scott, who teaches over at Gregory. So I'll just share what I have. At the beginning of the year, I've been doing this every year that I've been a teacher. I do a getting to know you assignment on the first day of school, and it's due the next day. It's a Google Doc, and so I'll actually put that link for you right now in the, they're sending the slideshow out tomorrow, I believe, but in the little Q&A part of our meeting, I'll put the Google Doc, and I've opened it up so that Modesto City Schools can view it. So if you wanted to use it, you would just need to make a copy. But anywho, it's a lot of just fun questions, like what do you like to do for fun, and what clubs are you in, and stuff like that, kind of sussing out if they're introverts, extroverts, and what activities they like and all that good stuff. And then it also asks who they live with, which surprisingly can be it can open up like a window into their world sometimes if like their whole family is living at their aunt's house or vice versa, or there's like 10 people in the house, things like that. And then the last 3 questions on there are, is there anything about your life that you think I should know? And then I say, for example, anything going on at home. And a lot of times that's where I'll get like, my parents are always fighting and whatnot. I do tell them when I assign it that they don't have to tell me, because obviously they just met me and they don't have any idea who I am. And I respect if they feel the need to be private. But I do get a lot of stuff there as far as like, or, somebody in the home is dealing with cancer or something like that. Then I added one this year. What has been the most difficult thing or things for you during the pandemic? Which of course we all know there's a lot that goes with that. And then the last one is more just things that I would want to know as their teacher, as far as like, do they wear glasses? Do they have a learning disability? Things that can help them be successful in class. And so that usually, that's how I will quickly figure out like who needs to sit in the front. Because at this point, on day 1, I have not read all the accommodations in Power School or anything like that. I am, and the kids shift around so much that I don't try to chase down all that information in those first days of school. So it just helps me see who's who, because I do seat my kids kind of alphabetically at first till I learn their names, and this way I can quickly move some of them to the front who I need to kind of focus on. So that's that. Next slide, please. I create a spreadsheet of my students, and this was actually really helpful. I just got done having a student teacher last semester, and so she and I shared the spreadsheet. And down in the bottom left how it has the little sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. So I just make a sheet for each class period, and I generate the roster in Power Teacher Pro in the reports little button on the left. You can make a student roster, and I just I copy and paste the student name and ID into the spreadsheet. And then I use the spreadsheet to keep track of the information on this getting to know you form, because as an English teacher with, up to 200 kids, there's no way for me to remember this kid's parents are fighting and this kid's grandma has whatever going on. So I record it in a spreadsheet so that I can, especially at the beginning of the school year, I just always have it open so I can see what I'm dealing with when I'm dealing with a student. I'd remember like, oh, mom has cancer, or, you know, whatever it is. Let's see. Next slide, please. I'll show you. So it's really hard to see, but normally I cut off columns A and B when I took the little snippet, because I didn't, obviously confidentiality, I didn't want to share, but this is my actual spreadsheet. And so I know it's kind of tiny in a Teams window, but column C, after, you know, columns A and B are their name and ID. Column C, I put a note to myself if they're resource, and then the first letter of the resource teacher's last name, so I know which resource teacher I'm dealing with. And then I also put it in that column if they're EL. And then I also put if they have a 504 or an IEP, but they don't happen to have a resource class. So basically that column just kind of flags like who might need special accommodations. And then column D, I just copy and paste all the accommodations over from PowerSchool. And I know it's in PowerSchool, but this way, for me, it's just kind of a one-stop shop, and I don't have to click around to get to it. It does take a little time at the beginning of the school year, but for me, it's worth it because then I kind of just know who my kids are. And then in the notes, I put the stuff from like the getting to know you assignment from the first day of school, like what they're dealing with at home. And I find that the students respond really well to me knowing who they are and me knowing what they're dealing with. So if something comes up, or like maybe they'll email me later that something else is going on, and then I'll say, gosh, I know you're already dealing with this other thing. And so I think they respond well to that. And for me, the relationships with the student is really, you know, a pretty essential foundation for the success of the learning after that. Next slide, please. And I just keep that going all year. My student teacher and I last semester did show and tell, which was amazing. I would never, you know, outside of distance learning and without a pandemic, I would certainly not use 40, you know, minutes out of my 49-minute class period on show and tell, but in an 80-minute class period, I do think it's a great use of time. Last semester, I was not making the kids use their cameras. And I'm actually starting that tomorrow and Friday, just based on the positive experience my husband has had with, now that we know we can make them turn their cameras on. But anyway, when I was not making them turn their cameras on, we were doing show and tell, and it was so awesome because they would each turn their camera on, just like 2 a day, and 2 kids a day, and they could show and tell anything. So it was truly like kindergarten show and tell, where they could share, you know, a precious gift from grandma, or they could share an award they were proud of, or in many cases, their pets, which was added like humor to it, because a lot of times they're kind of wrangling their pets and, you know, like, can we do show and tell? Because I'm, you know, holding my cat and stuff like that. So it was really funny. And then my student teacher and I enjoyed when they would have their camera on, which wasn't the norm at the time because we didn't know we could make them. But when they would have it on, it would also give us the opportunity to say like, oh, I see that poster on the wall behind you, and, you know, I also like that sports team or whatever. So just kind of and like, we just had fun asking them, is that your dining room? Is that your mom's, you know, china closet? Like, what are we looking at right here? So just kind of fun to see them for a change. This semester, since we exhausted the show and tell, I did it with every kid. Now we're doing good news. So I was a really big fan of that John Krasinski, Some Good News, that was on YouTube. And there's Good News Network. I'll put it in the chat or the Q&A. That they always have good news on that website. I tell the kids, we were presenting good news to them in the fall. Now the students are presenting it. And so I think it's good, you know, lighting up the serotonin to get people, including us teachers, to feel positive about something for a change. So I tell them they can find the good news anywhere. It doesn't matter where it is, but that this good news network does have, that's all they have is good news. So that it might have like things that are helping the environment or happy animal stories, whatever. So, so this semester we're doing good news. Last semester we did show and tell. I highly recommend any of the above. And I always give full credit just for going. So there's no judgment on what they're showing and telling. There's no judgment on the good news as long as it's good news and as long as they tell us about it. And that's pretty much it. Next slide, please. Grading strategies. This isn't necessarily social, emotional, but just in the spirit of kind of like Taya was saying, showing grace. You know, everybody's dealing with a lot right now. That, you know, no matter what it is, that you know, no matter what pandemic experience they're having, it's a lot. Especially also the political climate. So I personally did lower my D- to a 50%. Not all of my colleagues agreed with that, but I felt like it wasn't going to change, you know, the admittance into Harvard. And if the kids had gotten that far, I kind of just gave them the D-. I did not change the rest of my grading scale. I left the rest of it the same as usual, but I did lower my D- to a 50. I don't tell anybody that because I don't want kids knowing they only need to get to a 50. So I just I manually changed it at the end of the semester without saying a word. And then I do know some teachers at Gregory, where my husband works, are doing 50% for zeros. I know that's a very contentious topic and that not everybody agrees with it, but just kind of throwing it out there as a way to, you know, I don't do that because I feel like I'm already accommodating in a different way with the grades, but just food for thought. Next slide, please. So mood boards, this is a lot like the check-ins that Taya was talking about. My student teacher, Mariah Martinez, introduced me to these and I love them. So once you get these slides, you can just copy and paste these images. These are whole images. Pictures 1 through 9 are all one image. So you can copy paste the Baby Yoda or you know, The Office, and you can show that class in your Teams window, the mood board, and then everybody can put in the chat what number they are feeling that day. And then of course on like the bad ones, if they're crying or screaming, I'll sort of say like, what's wrong? You know, so and so. Next slide, please. So just another round. I just did the Dwight Schrute from The Office today. It's kind of hard to see because smaller window and I put 2 of them in one slide. But so it was actually really fun. Maybe if you guys, well, if you want, you can put right now what number you are of the Dwight Schrute in the mood board. In that Q&A, it's the little question mark bubble up at the top. And it won't hurt my feelings if you're at a 9 or a 5. But today I did have a girl who said she was between a 5 and a 9, which is like screaming or crying. And so, you know, why are you feeling that way? And it was that her computer had broken and one of her classes did everything in Microsoft Word and she had lost all the work. So then the rest of the class was helping her recover some of the work. And anyway, it's just good. It's a good way to check in with the kids. And these are the same thing. You can copy and paste the whole image. But you can also take them and put them in a Google form And then you'll get a spreadsheet of everybody's answer. So like if they put that they were at a 9 and they were crying, they could send a private answer as to, why are they crying? Next slide, please. I'm glad. Thank you, Anonymous, for putting that you were at a 7. I forget what a 7 looks like right this minute. Oh, that's I know, the one where he looks like a crazy killer with the, thank you, whoever put that. All right, I did give you guys in the slide, but I'll put it right now in the chat as well. Or not the chat, but the Q&A. This one has more mood boards, and so you can make your own. So if you have a celebrity that you really like, that gives you the opportunity to tell the kid. For example, my husband is a big fan of Cristiano Ronaldo, and so I think he did a Ronaldo one. But the one I just shared, if you open it, you're going to have Kim Kardashian, which I know not everybody is a fan. But what's cool about it is each picture, and I wish I was showing it to you, but each picture is a separate image. So it gives you the opportunity to make your own mood board. So there's the ones that are included in that link are Kim Kardashian, Michael Scott, which the kids love, Adam Sandler, Raven from That's So Raven, and then a Jersey Shore one. And these are mostly from my student teacher, Mariah Martinez, who, by the way, does need a job teaching English. Okay, so if anybody out there is listening, that message. All right, so that's that. Next slide, please. This is my last thing. After winter break, it had been a while since I did the getting to know you form at the beginning of the year. I was going to do a Teams check-in. What is it? A poll. But then my colleague, Tamara McCarthy, suggested I make it a Google form. And that was a great idea, because when you make check-ins at a Google form with your students, there's a really easy function to see it all on a spreadsheet. And so let me drop that into the little chat question and answer thingy. Hold on one sec. So this Google form, just kind of following up, like, how are you now? I did after winter break, and the 3 questions were: what was your greatest source of happiness during winter break? What was the hardest thing for you? And then fundamentals. Are you having any fundamental problems that are not being addressed? And so that would include hunger, financial, emotional, family, medical, or dental problems. And the reason I even asked this question was because I had a current student who needed dental surgery really badly. And I knew that it was distracting him from everything, because, he was in pain, and his dad was struggling financially, and they didn't have dental insurance. And our school ended up connecting him to the resources that he needed. And so by virtue, I actually knew about that separately, but I did get some other answers on this form where I flagged it and sent it to the counselor and administrator in charge of the student. And then, so it's like my due diligence is done. I'm helping the student's feeling heard. And as a school, we're supporting our kids. And I think that might be it. Next slide, please. I think that's the end. Yes, that's the end. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sensing a trend here with all the mood boards. I think that's a very popular topic. And I think they're just kind of fun even for yourself to kind of check in and see what you're feeling, what you're relating with. So thank you for your presentation.